Hi there, greetings everybody, and welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're here with an episode of What's New, a show I do every Saturday, which I talk about an album that's come out in 2024 this year. Won't be able to say that much longer. Next episode will be into 2025. So the last album we're going to do for the year is an album that's been out for a while. I thought about doing it, but I kept not warming to it too well. So I just kept putting it off until I got to this final episode and decided that, yeah, I like it enough, I got to do it. So the album we're doing today is Nektar's Mission to Mars. Yeah, their most recent rendition of a Nektar album that came out in June. It was less in that glass than I thought. So, anyways, this was released in June. I'm gonna need my glasses for this next part. So, this was released June 30th, 2024. It's about 32 minutes long, so relatively short album, almost an EP in many ways, on the Deco Entertainment label. Okay, the personnel: Derek Moore, bass and vocals. He's the only original member from the band still here. He was away from the band for a while, came back, but he's now kind of the guy in charge. Reich Shalanda on guitars and vocals. So he's been actually with the band consecutively the longest of the members that are in the band now. Kendall Scott, keyboards and vocals. And then Jay Didymo on drums, replacing the late Ron Howden. So I wasn't sure quite. I initially only had listened to bits and pieces of it and wasn't really enjoying it, so that's why I kept putting it off. But today I kind of bared down and listened to the entire thing. So my take on it is it's got some of that stuff that Nektar is known for. So you got a lot of hard rock. I wouldn't call there any heavy metal on this, but there's a lot of hard rock on this. It's really rocking at points. The lyrics are kind of more mainstream lyrics. They're not really what I would call progressive lyrics in the sense of that word. The vocals at times are very Albrighton sounding. At other times, maybe not so much so. It's got a little bit of bluesy element to it at times. Maybe even a kind of a hard rock element to it. Does have a progressive element for sure. Maybe that's the most dominant part. But also has some kind of a spacey rock feel to it at points in time too. So I didn't like it because I didn't think it sounded like a Nektar album. But then once I cranked it down and really listened to it, it does have a lot of Nektar sounds to it. So I decided to do it. So without any more time delayed here, we're just going to go on and talk about each of there's only 4 tracks on it. They're all fairly lengthy. First one's almost 9 minutes, and then the second one's about 7 minutes, a little bit more. And then you have a 10-minute song in the third spot, and then a 6-minute song to end off. So nothing particularly short here, but lots of good stuff going on. So the vocals were, on the opening track, were kind of metal-like. Definitely got that metal-like feel to it, or rock. It's a pretty rocking track. The guitar is a bit slow, a little bit melodic sounding. It's punctuated throughout the track by the organ. At some points, it's a little bit of keyboard synthesizer dominated parts. And I found this to be kind of heavy riffing at times. It's a little bit stronger on the back half of the song. I didn't like the initial outing, and that probably hurt the song a bit. But and all in all, I ended up passing it because I like the back half of the track. The second track was probably my favorite on the album, Long Lost Sunday. Vocals are more Nektar-like, very kind of all bright and sounding at times, not as much metal sounding to it as it was on that first track. It's got a kind of a heavy riff with a organ synthesizer part dominating this track. You got it gets at times it gets a little bit of a poppy feel to it, heavy pop, I guess maybe what you want to say. More of a commercial sound than I tend to like from these guys. The keyboard synthesizer solo was very catchy, though. It's maybe the best part of the entire album. So this was probably my favorite track. The next track out was One Day High, One Day Low. So this is the longest track on the album. It's got a kind of a opening keyboards synthesizer part. It's kind of catchy a little bit. Very Nektar vocal-like parts. Got a little bit of that metal sound that you got on the first track, but not as much. This is probably closer to the Albrighton sound than it is to that metal sound. It's a bit spacey on this track at times, with a bit of a bluesy part mixed in as well. The guitar solo is melodic, kind of a high-pitched, squealy type guitar solo. Keyboards are in the background, kind of adding some atmosphere, giving it a very atmospheric symphonic sound at points in time. And yeah, it gets towards the end. It gets that kind of pseudo poppy sound, along with a lot of other noises in there as well. Not a bad track. I didn't mind it either. The final track, which is the shortest track, I'll let you in, is the name of the track. It's about 6 minutes, a little over 6 minutes in length. The vocals are more subdued, a little bit more raspy or bluesy sounding. There's an acoustic guitar piano part. The beginning of the track is very ballad-like, I think. I found it be almost like they were doing a ballad. It does build up symphonically throughout the track towards the middle of the song. And then you get that kind of twin vocaling sound, which actually sounds pretty good on this particular track. A slow, melodic, but heavy guitar solo that takes over in that harder part. It's got an epic kind of atmospheric kind of symphonic sound to it as well. And then it kind of just slows right down to a very slow, almost non-existent part towards the end, where there's almost just a little bit going on, not too much. This was probably my least favorite track on the album. But overall, I don't think it's a bad album. It's just the problem with liking a band a lot is that you got very high expectations for them to do something very similar to what you've grown to love. And that's probably the case here. And it happens with every band. It's not just Nektar. I just, when I put it out of my mind that it was Nektar, I thought it was a good album. When I thought of it as Nektar, I thought it was a little bit wanting. I don't think it's a bad album, though. I think if you like Nektar, you'll probably like this as well. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of What's New, featuring Nektar's Mission to Mars. Next week, we'll, of course, be into the new year. So we'll be having something from the new year, from 2025, coming up. I hope to see you all then. Please hit the like and subscribe. That helps the channel a lot, and myself personally. And if you want to get notified of when the episodes come out, hit the notification bell. If you got any comments about the Nektar album we talked about today, Mission to Mars, put that all down there. And we will see you next Saturday night for another episode of What's New. Take care and have a good one. Bye.